Hey everyone, Jim and Chris back with another update. There's a question that's coming out, and I'm sure you've seen it all over, but there's uncertainty. There's some fear in the market right now, and people are writing in and calling to Chris and I and saying, there's fear in the market. Give me some skinny, give me some feedback on this. So what are you seeing, Chris? And what is your overall view?
I think, it's taken my brain a long time to get to this point myself, but I think that we all have this lens of, what happened 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, but it was amplified over the last, around 2 years ago, where we saw, what was really a big catch-up in the market and then a normalization. I think that's where people start to feel uncertain, where they're like, hey, we keep hearing that these rates are going to go back down. We keep hearing that there might be a recession. We keep hearing all these things that might happen because, we're in somewhat, uncharted waters, from an economy standpoint, at least for the recent future or recent past. So I think that's what's causing this consumer sentiment of, I'm scared, but I'm scared because I'm not sure exactly what I'm scared of. And it comes back to figuring out a way to survive in this new environment, which honestly isn't that bad. It just feels worse than what we felt a couple years ago in certain ways, but in other ways, it's much better. We take the home building market and pricing. We couldn't price a home and that price be good for a month, 2 years ago. But now, we've seen pricing stability come back in the market, which is ultimately good for all of us. I mean, yeah, it's great when you get these big spikes and there's that adjustment period, but those are going to come. But you really need that long-term growth, which is why we're in real estate. But it's easy to forget why we're in real estate, when you see some short-term pickup. So I think just everybody's brain getting adjusted to what this new normal is. Interest rates are high right now. They are. But again, they're not insurmountable. So there's solutions to that. They're just harder to find than they were 2 years ago. We've obviously found solutions internally. It didn't happen overnight. We have a lot of people here working, to come up with these in-house financing solutions that, as you like to say, turn back the hands of time. We're able to get rates that are darn near the lows for investor loans, which again took time to get through, and it takes a lot more learning. There's a lot of these gimmicky things out there. It takes time to sort through. I heard about this loan that we can get that's 4.25%, but it only lasts for a year. Yeah. And so to really get through the gimmicks and get down to what is the sustainable plan forward is, I think, why people are fearful. Because it's just a figuring it out process, and we were there. We certainly were, and we figured it out. And so I think as time goes on, people figure out how to operate in this new environment, and it becomes less important when interest rates go down. It becomes more important about what do things look like today, and what are you able to do? What levers are you able to pull to make deals pencil today? And to set yourself up to realize the next next growth spurt that happens in the market, while again taking advantage of that appreciation over time. The gradual, right now we're going to see gradual appreciation. We're going to see flat rents for, I think, another 12 months. But flat isn't terrible. I mean, no, flat is... all things considered, we like to see growth, but if you have to go through a year of flat to again reach that next level of growth, it's not the end of the world. So to me, Jim, I think the overall fear in the market is just uncertainty about how to navigate in this environment, and just not really being willing to burn the bridges of it's not going to go back to how it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I think as soon as people burn the bridges, burn the boats, whatever the metaphor you want to use, and start living in today and thinking about what are things today and what do we think is going to happen in the future, not worrying about trying to get back to where we were in the past.
Yeah, and I think it's important to go, what is driving the fear? And one of the biggest things I've learned is, right, we got to separate our peas from our carrots. And a lot of people go, there's fear in the market. Okay, which market? They said, well, the real estate market. You know, it's like a lot of people talking about the national, that'd be us talking about the national weather average. And that doesn't really help us figure out, should we wear shorts? Should we wear a jacket? And that's what I know you and I got really granular on, was which market. When we left Jacksonville and went all over Florida, we had to make some big decisions. So we had to study market fundamentals. So, you know, for example, Tampa and Miami and Orlando. Most people go, well, that's all there is in Florida. Now that's what I would have thought, being a Northeasterner for many years as a kid. But, you know, we decided, as you talked about last week, the land, if we're not getting into land right, we can't get our people in right. And now, right now, markets like those big three markets, I was just visiting one of them, Miami, last week. It's great, but the fundamentals are a little out of whack. There is no cash flow. The median price of a home is way more expensive than what the average family can afford. And that's why we go to these individual markets where there is a lower buy-in, there is an income that can afford the average price of a home. And you have to look at these types of fundamentals to separate out each market. So I wouldn't just look at the real estate market as one big blanket of good or bad, because there's probably going to be a mixture out there. And that's where you have to look at your individual market. The other thing, like Chris talked about with pulling levers, without a doubt, the biggest fear point right now, besides the real estate market, I think, is tapped out. And again, you have to look individual, is interest rates. Like you said, we're at a 26-year high. 26-year high, which is quite remarkable. But what that tells me is saying, wow, at a 26-year high, is there anything we can do to change the situation? And that's why we designed our own in-house financing with, you know, obviously the backing of Sumitomo. That gives us a great position where a lot of builders can't offer what we offer. You have to be able to qualify to, you know, take down these larger tranches of mortgage money for your clients. And we're lucky that we have a great support team now that we can do that. And so you need to look out there of interest rates are a problem, but they're not a problem for everyone. Can you work with someone like us that will actually defy the interest rates? That we do those bad, corny jokes about the Back to the Future. Can we hop in the DeLorean and get back to 2021 rates? And the answer is yes, when you have these builder forward commitments and know how they can work. So what Chris and I are always trying to do is, there's always going to be some risk in real estate. There's always going to be some fear. But can we rationalize the fear, or are there ways to kind of pick it apart statistically and also with strategy? And I think that's what we're trying to continue to do. We definitely believe there should be fear in some markets. Others, where there's still a great median price, the rents are high, the job source is still growing, the inventory levels, you know, from when I was in the market here, remember I started investing in 1999. If I had, you know, not understood what actually caused 2008's meltdown, I'd be really worried right now. But what happened here in Florida, where a lot of the markets that we now favor had big problems, is properties were not built right, and they were also overbuilt. And right now, as you know, since 2008, Chris, with the migration patterns, we're still behind on needed inventory. Yeah. And so these are things you have to look at. So I think you have to be cautious. You have to do your homework. We try to help you do that homework with the markets we go into, with researching the best insurance, because that's another one. You can't get insurance in Florida. And we've done all videos about that, where with our type of property, it's not true. And you have to be able to find the right mortgages. We'll try to do that. But do your own homework on these. And remember, here's what I've seen. The old Warren Buffett adage, be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. There is a lot of fear in the market right now. There are people that I feel are a lot smarter than me and Chris, or at least smarter than me. And they are saying, you know, the election has slowed things down. We thought the rate was going to drop a little quicker, but once it does, there is going to be a lot of money and interest going back into the real estate market, into the type of properties that we do. So that's a very exciting thing. So always in the short term gray, there's a silver lining. And that's where it gives Chris and I a lot of confidence to really look at the good in what's happening right now. And I've learned not to listen to the media. Gosh, if I had listened to the media, you know, at all the times in 2009 when you and I met and we started making our best real estate deals ever, probably, or besides the last 3 years, actually. I'd say it was a tie between '09 and the last 3 years, what we've done. But that, imagine if I listened to the media, or you had. We wouldn't have bought any houses. They said, oh, real estate's dead. It's never coming back. You can look up the articles. And so I learned to always question the media.
Yeah, yeah. No, and I think my parting comments would be, look into the future and think about where things are going, not where they were. And I think that's where we've gotten to in this market. Because remember, we're on the buy side too. We have to buy land, and we're seeing what we believe is going to happen in the future, and we're aggressively pursuing land opportunities right now. And these land opportunities that we're pursuing, they're not the same prices that they were 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, but they're still great prices in the market that we're in today. And that's really ultimately what we have to do, is think about what are the things that we're buying today, what are the yields that we're getting today, and how do they compare to the market that we're in today and where we believe that the market is going to go. Because the one place I can tell you it's not going to go is back to where it was 2 years ago. I just don't see that. I just don't see that happening here over the next 2, 3, 5 years.
Yeah, me neither. So anyway, fear is something you want to pay attention to, but you don't want to let it take you over, especially cite the source. Find out where it's coming from, and then look below the surface with real stats. And overall, mortgage rates are high, but if you can find sources where it can actually beat the odds and get you in much lower, look at that. If you can go to markets where the median values and the family income is still really good, look for that. Or is the rental demand still high? These are all basic fundamentals that should be able to keep you calm through the fear and be able to look long term. As Chris talked about, we don't really look out a year now with my own properties, with his own in our portfolio. We look out at least 10 plus. And when you start to do that, you start to calm down, and you can really step into the tracks of what we've seen so many of our real estate mentors and successful investors do, and that's produced that long-term wealth growth. Yeah. So just wanted to talk to you about fear. We'll come back with another message, but we appreciate the time today. Thanks again.
Thanks, everybody.